Hello everyone, welcome to the series of lectures on the course Calculus and Numerical Methods. In this video, I'm going to talk about intervals. So let's see what are intervals. Supposing I have a subset of R. Okay, so I'll just supposing J is a subset of R. Okay, R is a set of real numbers and I'm having a subset J of R. Then this subset J is called an interval if the following happens. If I take any 2 points in J, okay, so if I take any 2 points A and B in J, and then every point which is lying between A and B should also come in J, okay. So this is a subset of a real line. So let's say this is R and this is A and this is B, okay. I'm taking 2 points in J. Now this set J is said to be an interval if given any 2 points A and B in J, each and every point which is lying between A and B will also come in J. Okay, so if A and B belongs to J and X is a real number which lies between A and B, then X also should come in J. If this condition is satisfied, then we say that the set J is an interval. Okay, so let's put down the definition. A subset J of R is said to be an interval if given any a comma b in R, if a comma b belongs to J, sorry, not R, if a comma b belongs to J and if X lies between A and B, then we have X belongs to J. That means X is in J. Okay. So a subset J of R is said to be an interval if between any 2 points of J, if you take any 2 points of J, then everything between those 2 points is also there in J. Such a subset of R is said to be an interval of R. All right. So if I'm drawing it here, supposing I have my set J here, okay, and if I pick up any 2 points A and B in J, then each and every point which is lying in between A and B should also come in J. And this should happen for any 2 points A and B in J. No matter which 2 points in J you pick up, everything between those 2 points should also come in J. Okay. So such a set is said to be an interval in R. Okay. So in using quantifiers, if I want to write it, how will I put it? For every a comma b in J, for all points a comma b in J and X lying between A and B, okay, X is a real number which is lying between A and B. This is going to imply X is there in J. So if this condition is satisfied, then we say that J is an interval. Okay. Now there are different types of intervals. Basically, given any interval, you can classify that into 8 intervals. Okay, there are total 8 kinds of intervals. So let's discuss them one by one. The first one is I'll put that as an example. Okay, supposing A and B are two real numbers such that A is less than or equal to B. Supposing A and B are two real numbers such that A is less than or equal to B. Okay, then we define the following intervals. The first one is, this is read as closed interval A comma B. Okay, I'm having closed brackets at both the ends, and this is read as closed interval AB, and this is the set of all real numbers, okay, which are lying between A and B, including A and B. So all those real numbers x such that A is less than or equal to x and x is less than or equal to B. Okay, this set is the first interval, that is the closed interval. So this one is called closed interval. So both the endpoints A as well as B are included in this interval, and everything between A and B is also included in this interval. So if you put it on the number line, it will look like somewhat like this. I have A here and I have B here, and everything A and B are there in this interval, and everything in between A and B is also present in this interval. Okay, so this is called closed interval. The second kind of interval that we have is the open interval. So I will have open brackets at the end now on both the sides. Okay, and this is called open interval AB, and this will contain all those real numbers which are strictly greater than A and which are smaller than B. Now in the open interval, we are not including the endpoints A and B. Okay, so that is the difference between open interval and a closed interval. So this is the set of all real numbers x such that x is strictly bigger than A and x is strictly less than B. Okay, so the endpoints here are not included, and this one is called open interval. Okay, now in the first one we have both the endpoints, in the second one we don't have any of the endpoints. So one possibility could be that one of the endpoints is included in the set and the other one is not. Okay, so that will give me an interval of this type. Let's say A is included. Whenever I put a closed bracket here, that means that endpoint is included. And on the other side, I can have open interval this way. Okay, so this will contain all the real numbers x such that x is bigger than or equal to A. So x can be equal to A now. Okay, so x is bigger than or equal to A, but it cannot take the value B because I have open here, open side. Okay, so this will be strictly less than B. All right. The fourth kind of interval that I have is a similar one. Now the right endpoint will be included and the left one will be excluded. So I have open at A and I have closed at B, and this is nothing but the set of all real numbers x such that A is strictly less than x and x is less than or equal to B. Okay, so in the third and the fourth one endpoint is included whereas the other one is not included. These two are called, there are two words actually, semi-open or semi-closed. Okay, so these two are called semi-open or semi-closed. You can use any one word. We will stick to one word. We'll call it semi-open. Okay, so these are the first four types of intervals that we have. Okay, these four are called bounded or finite. Okay, because we know where they are ending. A is the limit and B is the limit on this side. Okay, so we know their limits. Any point in this cannot be less than A and any points cannot cross B and go ahead. Okay, so these four intervals are said to be finite and bounded intervals. All right. Now the next type of interval that I have is an infinite interval, the fifth one. Okay, so this one is, I will define that to be closed on the left hand side at A and infinity on the right hand side. So which points will be coming in this interval? Okay, infinity is not a real number. Okay, so this notation only tells you that all the numbers which are bigger than A are coming inside this set. Okay, so this will contain all those real numbers which are greater than A. Only one condition. Okay, now if you see the difference between the first four and the fifth one, in the first four there are two conditions on x. Okay, x has to be bigger than or equal to a in the first one, it has to be less than or equal to b. So it has two conditions. And in all of these there are two conditions on x. But if you look at this one, there is only one condition on x to be present in this interval. And that condition is that it has to be bigger than a. If any real number is bigger than or equal to, sorry. If any real number is bigger than or equal to a, then it will come in this interval. Okay. So in the same way, we can have minus infinity to a as well, b as well. So I can have an interval of this form. Okay. So on the right hand side, I have b. It is closed. That means the point b is included, and all the points which are less than b are also included. So this will contain all those real numbers x, such that x is strictly less. No, x is less than or equal to b. Okay, x can take the value b because I have closed bracket. Okay, and in the same way we can define open intervals also here. So in a similar way, I'll define open at a and infinity. So this is called open interval a to infinity, and this will contain all those real numbers which are strictly bigger than a now. Okay, and in a similar fashion we have minus infinity to b open, and this will contain all those real numbers which are strictly less than b. Okay, so instead of this here I can write this as a is less than x. Okay, let's keep the notations uniform. So these are the four kinds of intervals. Now if you look at the last four intervals, okay, on one side they are not bounded, there is no bound, and hence the last four kinds of intervals, they are called unbounded intervals, whereas the first four intervals are called bounded intervals. Okay, next I'll pick up any one of them at random. Let's say the third one, the third kind of interval. Okay, and I'll call it j. Okay, let's do this, a small example. So let j be the interval. Okay, let's say open at a and closed at b. Okay, I'll do it for one. You can try this thing for the rest 7. Okay, so let j be this open at a and closed at b, this interval, and I'll pick up 2 points in j. Okay, so let x comma y belong to j, and supposing a number z lies between x and y. Okay, and z lies between x and y, we will show that z also lies in j. Okay, so j is this interval, and I've taken 2 points xy in j, and z is a point which lies between x and y. Okay, now x and y both lie in j, so x comma y belongs to j, and j is nothing but open at a and closed at b. Okay, so that means a must be strictly less than x, and x is less than or equal to b, and y also must be, sorry, a must be less than y, and y must be less than or equal to b. And now I want to show that z also comes in j. Okay, so I will start with this. So now we have a is strictly less than x, and from here x is strictly less than z and z is strictly less than y. So x is strictly less than z, z is strictly less than y, and from here y is less than or equal to b. So if I look at this part, and the third last part, what we have is a is less than z and z is less than or equal to b. This implies z is also coming in j. So if you take any 2 points in j, x and y, and a point z in between x and y, then z will also come in a. Okay, now let's look at a subset of R. Okay, let me pick up one subset of R and let's check whether it's an interval or not. Okay, so you consider one subset A of R which is defined as this. So let A be equal to closed interval 0 1 union with, let's say, 5 comma 10. Okay, closed at 10 or anything for that matter. So this is a subset of R. Okay, and we want to check whether this subset A of R is an interval or not. Okay, so if you put it on the number line, let me draw the number line for this, and I will mark this set A on the number line. Okay, so I need the points 0, 1, somewhere 5 here, and I need 10. Okay, so I will mark the set A on this number line in red. So let's see. So 0 and 1 both are included. Okay, it's a closed interval. So 0 is included, 1 is included, and everything between 0 and 1 is also included. So this is the first half. Second half is 5 is not included. Okay, so but everything after 5 is included, and 10 is also included. Okay, now can you check whether the set A, the subset A of R which is given, is an interval or not? This set A is not an interval. Okay, because if you pick up any point 1 here between 0 and 1, if you pick up 1 say, and if you pick up 1 point here 7, then there are so many points here which are not inside A, but 1 and 7 are there in A. Okay, so what you do, you choose the point 1. 1 is there in A, so I'll choose 1 in A, and I will choose 1 point of A from the other half, let's say 7. Okay, and I'll pick up 1 point here. Okay, let's say 3, and 1 is less than 3 is less than 7, but 3 is not there in 7. Sorry, 3 is not there in A. That means we have found 2 points in A. Okay, I'll call this as small a, and I'll call this as small b. A and B in A, but there is a point which is between A and B, and it is not there in A. Okay, so that violates the definition of an interval, and therefore A is not an interval. Okay, whereas if you look at this example, six comma 27, this is an interval. Okay, so if you put it on the number line, 6 is there, 6 is not included, and 27 will be somewhere here. If you pick up any 2 points here in this set, then everything between them is also there in this set. So this is an interval. Okay, so if you want to show that this is an interval, how will you go about this? So let's pick up 2 points, x and y in B, and a point z which lies between x and y. Okay, now because x and y are there in this, what is going to happen? 6 will be strictly less than x, and that will be less than or equal to 27. And similarly, same thing is going to happen for y, because both of them are there in the set B. So this also I have. Okay, now I have to show that 6 is less than z, and z is less than or equal to 27. That's straightforward. From here, 6 is less than x, but x is given to be less than z, and z is less than y. So x is less than z, z is less than y, and from this part, y is less than or equal to 27. Okay, that means z lies between 6 and 27, and therefore the z point also lies in B, and therefore B is an interval. So this is how you check whether a given subset of R is an interval or not. Okay, so we saw one example of a subset of R which is an interval, and one subset which is not an interval. Now I'll state one remark. Let's look at the first type of interval that we had considered. Okay, that is the closed interval, and I will give it some name. Let's say J. Let J be equal to closed interval AB, and suppose A is equal to B. Okay, suppose A is equal to B. Then which points, how many points will be coming in this interval J? Okay, so the first endpoint is A, and we now are told that B is also equal to A. Okay, so J will be of the form A comma A. That means A is included and A is included, and there is nothing between A and A, right? Because A is the same point. So this will be a singleton set. Okay, so as per the textbook that we are referring, singleton sets are also considered to be intervals. For example, in a closed interval, if you take A equal to B, then you're getting singleton set A, which is a closed interval. Okay, so this is also one possibility. So for example, if you take the set A is equal to closed interval 2 comma 2, this will be nothing but singleton element 2, which is an interval. Okay, now if I look at one more, but if I consider the condition that A is equal to B for the open interval, then what is going to happen? So let P be equal to this open interval A comma B, and now let's suppose that A is equal to B. Okay, so what is going to happen now? Which points will be coming in the set P? So P will be nothing but open interval A comma A. So I'm looking at all the points which are after A and all the points which are before A. Okay, so can you see that this set is an empty set? Because I need points which are greater than A and which are less than A also at the same time, and A is the same number. So there is no such point, and hence this interval will be a empty set. Okay, so empty sets are also considered to be intervals. Now this is as per the textbook that we are referring, a basic course in real analysis by Ajit Kumar and Kumresan. Okay, so these are the two possibilities. Singletons and empty sets are also considered to be intervals in this particular course. Next, let's look at these two intervals. Okay, consider the intervals A comma B closed interval and C comma D. Okay, such that the closed interval C comma D is a subset of the first interval A comma B. Okay, then what relation can we have between these numbers A, B, C and D? Okay, what relation we can have between these numbers A, B, C and D? So if you put it on the number line, I have the interval AB. So A must be somewhere here, B must be somewhere here, closed interval. And we are given that the closed interval CD is a subset of this. So it has to lie somewhere here, right? So from this, we can conclude that A must be less than or equal to C must be less than or equal to D, and D must be less than or equal to B from the geometric view. Then A is less than or equal to C is less than or equal to D, and D is less than or equal to B. So this is what we will prove. Okay, that's trivial, nothing much to prove in this. Now we are given that the closed interval CD is a subset of AB. Now the point C is coming in this interval CD because it is closed at C. Okay, so C is there in CD, closed interval, and C comma D is a subset of closed interval AB. And subset meaning every point from the closed interval CD will be present in AB here, closed interval AB. This implies C is also there in closed interval AB, and C is there in between. That means A must be less than or equal to C and C must be less than or equal to B, right? So I'll name this inequality as 1. So similarly, what you can do, you can look out for the other endpoint D of CD, that is also there in the closed interval CD, and closed interval CD is a subset of closed interval AB. This implies the point D is there in closed interval AB, right? And this further implies that D must be lying between A and B if it is there in that interval by the definition of this set. So if you are confused here why D is lying between A and B, go back to the definition of the closed interval and check on the first slide of this video. Okay, so by definition D must be between A and B. So I will name this as maybe something. I named 1, so 2, Roman number 2. Okay, now if I start from here, A is less than or equal to C. Okay, now by 1 and 2, what do we have? A must be less than or equal to C, and a interval is given to me C comma D. That means definitely C is less than or equal to D, right? So C is less than or equal to D, because that's how we had defined intervals. So C is less than or equal to D. But from 2 here, D is less than or equal to B, right? And that's what we wanted to prove. Let me go back. Yeah, there C. A is less than or equal to C, C is less than or equal to D, and D is less than or equal to B. Okay. Next, I'll prove a very important exercise. Okay. So supposing I have a sequence of intervals defined by this Jn equal to a minus 1 by n comma b plus 1 by n for each natural number n. Okay, so let's try to understand what is this. Now I'm saying for every n in n, every natural number n, I'm defining the set Jn to be equal to a minus 1 upon n comma b plus 1 upon n, closed interval. Okay, so what will be J1 for n equal to 1? If I put n is equal to 1 here, I will get J1, and that will be equal to a minus 1 by 1, that's 1, comma b plus 1 by 1, so that's b plus 1, right? So a minus 1, b plus 1. If I put n is equal to 2, what I'll have? A minus 1 by 2, so a minus half comma b plus half, right? So I'm just substituting the values of n in this set here. So for n equal to 3, what I'll have? J3 is equal to a minus 1 by 3 comma b plus 1 by 3. For n equal to 4, what I'm going to have? J4 is equal to a minus 1 by 4 comma b plus 1 by 4, and so on. So I can do this, keep on doing this process. So what we will do is we will put this on the number line and we will try to analyze what kind of intervals we are getting. Okay, so I had A here and I have B here. Okay, let's assume that B is bigger than A. Okay, so first what I have, the first J1, if I try to plot on this number line, J1 is the closed interval A minus 1 B plus 1. So I have to subtract 1 from A. So let's say A minus 1 is coming here. Okay, so supposing this is A minus 1 and B plus 1. So I have to add 1 to B and I will get B plus 1 somewhere here. Right? So this is J1 what I have marked now, the closed interval, the bigger one. Now I will mark J2, that is A minus half. Okay, so A minus 1 is here and now I'm removing half. So that will be somewhere here. So this is A minus half and B plus half again will be somewhere here. Okay. So similarly, if I try to plot J3, that is A minus 1 by 3. So that will be still closer to A. And now here I will have B plus 1 by 3. Correct? Now if I try to plot J4, that will be still closer. And can you all see that from the left hand side, I'm coming very close to A. And from the right hand side, I'm coming very close to B. But can this be equal to A anytime? Is there any natural number when the left endpoint will be equal to A only when this is 0, and there is no natural number n such that 1 by n is 0. So this number is going to come very close to A from the left hand side, and the other endpoint here, b plus 1 by n, that is going to come towards b from the right hand side. Okay, what I want to look at is this. What will be intersection of all the jn's if I take, where n varies over natural number? So I'm looking at J1 intersection J2 intersection J3 intersection J4 intersection J5 and so on. Okay, so J1 intersection J2 intersection J3 intersection and so on. How much is this? Okay, so can you all guess what will be the intersection of all these Jn's if I compute? It will never come to A. That means the point A will be definitely there in all these intervals because none of the endpoints will come towards A, right? And similarly, the endpoints from right won't come towards B because to come to B, this number 1 by n should be 0 and that is never 0 for any natural number n. So B will also come in all of them. That means A is coming in all of them, B is coming in all of them, and everything between A and B is also coming in all of them. So the intersection will be nothing but, okay, that's what I will prove. My claim is if I try to take intersection of all of them, that is nothing but closed interval AB. This is what I want to prove. Okay, I hope you all understanding this. So let's start. Okay, I want to show that two sets are equal. So let me take one point in the left hand side. Okay, so let's say some point x belong to intersection of all the jn's, n is a natural number. Okay, that is going to happen if and only if x is there in all of them. That means x is there in intersection of all the jn's. That means x is there in jn for every natural number n. It is there in j1. It is there in intersection, meaning what? It is there in all of them. So it is there in j1, j2, j3 and so on. It is there in all of them, right? Now, but what is jn? That is if and only if jn is nothing but a minus 1 by n comma b plus 1 by n. That's how jn is defined if you go back and see here. So jn is a minus 1 by n comma b plus 1 by n. And a point x is coming in this interval, so it has to be lying inside a minus 1 by n and b plus 1 by n. So this will happen if and only if a minus 1 by n is less than or equal to x, and that is less than or equal to b plus 1 by n, and this is happening for all the natural numbers n. Okay, for each n in n, this is going to happen. Clear? Now, if I look at the first part, okay, so I will break this now, the last inequality, into two halves. Okay, so let's do that. I can write this is if and only if I'll break it into two halves. A minus 1 by n is less than or equal to x, and x is less than or equal to b plus 1 by n, and this is happening for all natural numbers n, right? Now that is going to happen if and only if, okay, I'll come down here on the next slide. I'll take the 1 by n on that side. A is less than or equal to x plus 1 by n, and b is less than or equal to, sorry, b is how can I put this? Yeah, this I don't have to do anything actually here. I will just erase this, and x is less than or equal to b plus 1 by n for every natural number n. Okay, and now we have done a result. I will just recollect a result which says if a is less than or equal to b plus epsilon for every epsilon positive, for that matter you can pick up epsilon as 1 by n also, then a will be less than or equal to b. This is the result which I am talking about. Okay, I hope you all know this result. So another way of stating this one could be, okay, another way of stating this one could be, if a is less than or equal to b plus 1 by n for every natural number n, then a is less than or equal to b. So this is what I'm going to apply here. So this is going to happen if and only if. So this is a is here, this is b, and this is 1 by n. That is going to happen if and only if a is less than or equal to x, and same thing I have here. So x is less than or equal to b. So this is going to happen. That means x is bigger than or equal to a and it is less than or equal to b. That means the point x lies inside the closed interval ab. So what did we prove ultimately? We proved that a point x will come in the intersection of all the jn's. Okay, here if and only if the point x is there in closed interval ab. Okay, so intersection of all the gns, if I look at, that will be nothing but closed interval ab. Okay, alright, so normally how we prove this is, I want to show that two sets are equal. So we show that the first one is a subset of the second and the second one is a subset of the first. Okay, so one way could be you take a point x in intersection of all the jn's, and you don't write all these if and only ifs which I've written. You write implies there and you come to the last step here. And then again, to show the opposite side, you start from the last step, x belongs to this, okay, and then you keep on moving on top and you will come to this stage at the end. Okay, so that is another way of showing that two sets are equal. So I have done it in a shorter way. So intersection of all these jn's is nothing but the closed interval ab. Okay, so two similar exercises I will leave for you all. So second one, and these are for you all to try. Okay, so second one I will leave for you all is this one. Let jn be equal to a comma b plus 1 by n. Okay, let jn be equal to a comma b plus 1 by n, and this is for every natural number n. Okay, so jn is a subset of R which is defined in this way. Okay, so what you have to do is you have to find out what is intersection of all these jn's. Okay, so the only difference here is there is no minus 1 by n here, otherwise it's the same jn. Okay, then find intersection of all the jn's. Okay, and these are my references. Thank you.